I never thought I'd be the one to unravel the tangled web of our family's legacy. But life in the American West has a way of throwing dust storms your way when you least expect them. My name's Emily Carter, and I've spent the last 15 years pouring my sweat and soul into the Double Bar Ranch, nestled in the rolling hills of Montana's Bitterroot Valley. It's not just land to me, it's home, history, and the only thing my late father left behind that felt real. Dad built this place from scratch back in the 80s, turning scrub brush into a thriving cattle operation with smart water management and sustainable grazing plans I helped design right out of college. I majored in agricultural engineering at Montana State, and those blueprints, they were mine, down to the irrigation systems that kept us afloat during droughts. But then Jake Harlan showed up, my cousin from the city side of the family, Seattle, to be exact. He rolled in last spring like he owned the place, fresh off some tech startup flop, with a swagger that screamed urban cowboy. Aunt Linda, Dad's sister, had passed away the year before, leaving Jake her share of the ranch in her will. Suddenly, he was all about modernizing our operations, talking big about investors, and turning the Double Bar into a luxury eco-resort. "We're sitting on gold here," he'd say, slapping the old oak table in the ranch house kitchen. "Time to ditch the dusty old ways and go viral. Think glamping pods with Wi-Fi under the stars." At first, I bit my tongue. Family's family, right? And with Mom gone too, I was the last Carter holding down the fort. Jake started small, redesigning our website, posting slick photos on social media, even hiring a drone guy to film the property. But soon, he was overstepping. During our monthly family meeting, me, Jake, and our lawyer, Mr. Reynolds, he presented a shiny new business plan. "I've streamlined everything," he boasted, flipping through a tablet full of charts. "Those old irrigation maps? Bloated and outdated. I've got apps now that optimize water flow in real time." I glanced at the screen and felt my stomach drop. Those old maps were my designs, certified by the Montana Department of Natural Resources, complete with legal easements for water rights that prevented neighbors from suing us dry. I raised a hand quietly. "Jake, those aren't just sketches. They're filed with the county, backed by surveys I commissioned. Mess with them, and we could lose our riparian rights." He waved me off with a grin that didn't reach his eyes. "Come on, Eminencia. This is the West, adapt or die. Investors want fresh energy, not grandma's quilt patterns." The room went quiet. Mr. Reynolds cleared his throat, but Jake steamrolled on, promising a big pitch to some California venture group looking to buy in. By the end, my name wasn't even on the plan as a contributor, just operations support. It stung like a barbed wire cut, but I kept my cool. I'd learned from Dad, ranching isn't about yelling, it's about enduring. That night, I sat in the old barn office, surrounded by yellowed files and the scent of hay. I pulled out the original deed transfers and water permits, documents I'd helped draft with Dad's signature and mine as witness and co-planner. In Montana law, water rights are gold. They're appurtenant to the land, meaning you can't just streamline them without court approval. I made copies on the ancient printer, tucking them into a locked drawer. Jake was too busy schmoozing to notice, but I knew trouble was brewing. He started tossing out old ledgers into the burn pile, calling them clutter. One was the 2010 drought contingency plan I'd written, which had saved us from bankruptcy. I fished it out after dark, brushing off the ash. As weeks turned to months, Jake's erasure got bolder. He excluded me from investor calls, saying I was better suited to the day-to-day grunt work. One afternoon, I overheard him on the phone. "Yeah, the ranch is primed for takeoff. I've revamped the whole setup. No more outdated systems dragging us down. My blood boiled. But I didn't confront him. Instead, I drove into town to the county clerk's office in Hamilton. There, I verified our records. My name was on every major filing, from the conservation easement that protected our grazing lands to the LLC structure Dad and I set up for tax purposes. Under Montana's property laws, you can't alienate co-owners without consent, and Jake was treating the ranch like his solo playground. I started leaving subtle reminders. A printed copy of the water rights certificate on the kitchen table. My signature circled in red. Jake glanced at it, crumpled it, and tossed it aside. Nostalgia's cute, but business waits for no one. Fine. I mailed a duplicate to Mr. Reynolds, marked for reference. No drama, just facts. Meanwhile, Jake prepped for his big investor pitch at the local Chamber of Commerce hall. He practiced in the living room, air guitaring like a rock star. This is our Tesla moment, folks, not some rusty pickup truck era. I watched from the hallway, silent. He thought he was the hero. But in the West, heroes are the ones who build quietly, not the ones who shout. The pitch day loomed, and I felt the weight of it all. Jake had redesigned the presentation deck, erasing my contributions entirely. The ranch's history slide, it started with his arrival, like the place was a blank canvas before him. I didn't sleep much that week, living off black coffee and determination. But I had a plan, not revenge. Exactly. But restoration. I'd contacted an old friend from college, now a land attorney with the USDA, for advice. Emily, if he's misrepresenting ownership, that's fraud territory, she said. Document everything. So I did, compiling a timeline of my work, backed by emails, photos, and legal stamps. It wasn't about taking him down. It was about protecting what was ours. Family drama in these parts often boils down to land, and I wasn't letting ours slip away. The investor meeting was set for a crisp autumn morning in the chamber hall, with golden leaves swirling outside like confetti from a forgotten parade. Jake strutted in wearing a crisp Stetson he probably bought online, shaking hands with the California suits like he'd herded cattle all his life. I was there as an observer, per his invite, sitting in the back row, notebook in hand, blending in with the locals who'd shown up for free coffee. The room buzzed with anticipation. Word had spread about the potential buy-in that could put Bitterroot on the map. Jake kicked off with flair, projecting slides onto the wall. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the future of the Double Bar Ranch. I've transformed this gem from a sleepy operation into a scalable eco-powerhouse. He clicked through graphs showing projected revenue from glamping sites and solar-powered cabins. My heart sank when he hit the operation slide. We've purged the outdated water and land management protocols, lean, mean, and ready for growth. Those outdated protocols were my life's work, legally binding under Montana's prior appropriation doctrine, where water rights are first come, first served, and tampering could lead to hefty fines or loss of access. I shifted in my seat, pencil scratching notes. One investor, a sharp-eyed woman named M.S. Vargas from a green tech firm, leaned forward. Impressive revamp. Who handled the original infrastructure? Jake paused, then flashed a grin. That was legacy stuff. I've optimized it all. No mention of me, Dad, or the decades of compliance. Mr. Reynolds, our lawyer, was in the audience too. I caught his eye, and he nodded subtly. I'd sent him my compiled dossier the night before, scans of deeds, permits, and even a notarized affidavit from a neighboring rancher attesting to my role in negotiating shared fence lines. As Jake wrapped his pitch, fielding softball questions, I stayed silent. But inside, I was piecing together the puzzle. This wasn't just ego. Jake had been digging into the ranch's finances, and I'd discovered discrepancies. Funds shifted to his modernization account without my sign-off. In Montana, as a co-owner under the LLC, that required dual approval. It smelled like a quiet land grab, mystery unfolding like a thriller in our own backyard. After the meeting, Jake basked in applause. But Ms. Vargas approached me quietly. "You're Emily Carter, right? The one on the water filings?" I nodded.
"Yes, Mum.
Been managing that since Dad passed." She pulled out a business card. "We'd like your input on the due diligence. Our firm values original stewards." Jake overheard, his face tightening. "Em's great with the cows, but I've got the vision." She ignored him, and we exchanged numbers. That evening, back at the ranch, Jake cornered me in the kitchen. "What was that about? You trying to undermine me?" His tone was accusatory, laced with that city edge. I poured myself a glass of water from the tap. Ironic, given the topic. Just clarifying facts.
"Jake."
"This ranch isn't a startup. It's family land with legal ties."
He scoffed.
"Facts? Come on."
"Eminencia."
"Out here, it's survival of the fittest." Aunt Linda left me her share fair and square. But I knew better. I'd reviewed the will. It specified joint management, not unilateral control. The drama escalated when I found him shredding old tax records in the barn, documents proving my investments in equipment upgrades. "Digital's cleaner," he muttered when I walked in. I salvaged what I could after he left, heart pounding. This was turning into a Trin Tam of sorts, piecing clues to protect our heritage. Over the next days, I delved deeper. Using public records online, Montana's land database is a goldmine. I traced our property lines back to Homestead Acts from the 1800s, with updates I'd filed myself. Jake was pitching the investors on subdividing parts for development, but that violated our conservation easement, a legal covenant with the state that preserved the land for agriculture. Breaching it could trigger penalties up to $50,000 per violation, per U.S. Fish and Wildlife Guidelines adapted locally. I wasn't out for blood. I wanted understanding. Maybe Jake was hurting from his failed business, projecting onto us. One night, under the starry sky, I sat on the porch swing Dad built, flipping through photos, me as a kid helping brand calves. College graduation with my cap and gown over boots. The West teaches resilience, but also forgiveness if earned. I emailed Ms. Vargas my dossier. CCNG Mr. Reynolds. For transparency, I wrote,
"No accusations.
Just evidence." Jake's response came fast, a tense dinner where he accused me of sabotage. "Why can't you just let me lead? This could make us rich." I met his eyes. "Rich how? By erasing what makes this place special?" The air crackled with unspoken hurts, family rifts from years ago, when Aunt Linda moved away after a feud with Dad over money. As the investor deadline neared, Jake amped up his efforts, hosting a vision barbecue for locals and backers. He grilled steaks, spinning tales of prosperity. I mingled quietly, overhearing whispers. Jake's got big ideas, but Emily's the one who knows the land. It felt validating, but bittersweet. That night, I uncovered a bombshell. Emails on the shared ranch computer. He'd forgotten to log out, showing he'd contacted a realtor about selling off parcels, without my consent. Under Montana law, that's attempted partition without agreement, potentially voidable in court. My hands shook as I printed them. This wasn't revenge. It was self-preservation, with a dash of mystery solving. I confronted him gently the next morning over coffee. Jake, we need to talk about the emails. His face paled. You snooped? It's our computer, I replied. This could land us in legal hot water. He slumped, the bravado cracking. For the first time, he opened up. His startup crash had left him broke, desperate to prove himself. I thought I could fix everything. I nodded, feeling a twinge of empathy. We can fix it together, but honestly, it was a turning point, the drama shifting toward healing. With the investor pitch just days away, the ranch felt like a pressure cooker, steam building under Montana's vast skies. Jake paced the living room, rehearsing lines about sustainable synergy and land leverage, words that sounded hollow against the creak of old floorboards. I decided on a humane approach, no public takedown, but a quiet insistence on truth. I met with Mr. Reynolds in his Hamilton office, a cozy space lined with law books and faded maps. Emily, these documents are ironclad, he said, reviewing my stack. Your co-ownership and contributions to the easements make any unilateral sale fraudulent under state property codes. I nodded. I don't want to sue family. Just set things straight. He advised filing a lease pendens, a legal notice on the property title warning of potential disputes to protect against shady deals. It's a common tool in Western land law, preventing sales during litigation. I hesitated, but signed the paperwork. It wasn't aggressive, it was protective, like fencing off a pasture from predators. Back home, Jake was oblivious, blasting music while updating his deck. I left the lease pendens notice on the table. Not hidden, but prominent. What's this? He snapped later. A roadblock.
Ink.
Really? Transparency?
Jake.
We co-own this. Montana law requires mutual consent for major changes. He stormed out, but I saw doubt flicker in his eyes. The mystery deepened when I found an old journal in the attic, Dad's, detailing the family split with Aunt Linda over a loan he couldn't repay. It humanized the drama. Jake wasn't a villain. He was echoing old grudges, seeking redemption through control. I shared snippets with him that evening by the fire pit, stars twinkling overhead. Dad regretted that feud. Maybe we can end it. He listened, defenses lowering. I just wanted to make something of myself. The next day, MS. Vargas called. Your files raised flags. Jake's pitch omits key legalities, like the easement. We're pausing until clarified. I thanked her, suggesting a joint meeting. Jake overheard, fury boiling over. You went behind my back, but as we argued, I kept calm, explaining the risks. Violating the easement could invite lawsuits from environmental groups, fines from the Bureau of Land Management. This isn't payback, it's saving us. He deflated, admitting he'd skimmed the legal stuff. It was a breakthrough, the Trin Tam revealing not just plots, but pains. We spent hours poring over records together. I showed him my original designs, C80 drawings for irrigation pivots, certified by engineers, saving water during the 2015 drought. This kept us going, I said. He nodded, impressed. I didn't realize. The family drama unfolded like layers of sedimentary rock, exposing vulnerabilities. Jake confessed his startup failure had shattered his confidence. Coming here was an escape. I thought bulldozing the past would help. I empathized. The West's about building on foundations, not erasing them. As the revised meeting approached, Jake included me in prep. We reworked the deck, crediting my work prominently. It felt collaborative, humane. But tension lingered. A neighbor tipped me off that Jake had met a shady developer privately. I investigated quietly, driving to the county assessor for records. Sure enough, a preliminary survey for subdivision, filed under his name only. Legal red flag under Montana's Subdivision and Platting Act that required board approval for our LLC. I confronted him with evidence, not anger. Why hide this? He broke down. I was scared you'd say no. I need the money. Tears came, rare in these tough parts. We talked deep into the night, bridging gaps. I suggested alternatives. Eco-tours using my sustainable plans, without selling land. He agreed. The revenge arc softening into partnership. The lesson emerged lightly. Family thrives on truth, not triumphs. By dawn, we drafted a new agreement, notarized via email with Mr. Reynolds. No more erasures, shared credit. The investor call went virtual due to weather, a Montana snow squall. Jake led, but deferred to me on tech details. Emily's the expert here, he said genuinely. MS. Vargas praised the transparency. This strengthens the proposal. We secured a partial investment for upgrades, not a full buyout. Jake hugged me after. Awkward, but real. Thanks for not letting me crash. I smiled. That's what family's for. The drama resolved not with downfall, but dawn, a humane ending under western skies. Wait. No, that was just the build-up. The real test came weeks later, when the developer Jake had contacted pushed back, claiming verbal agreements. It turned into a mini-legal thriller, cease and desist letters, depositions in Hamilton's courthouse. I testified calmly, documents in hand, clarifying my role and the LLC's rules. The judge, a no-nonsense local, ruled in our favor. Property rights in this state aren't suggestions. Jake stood by me in court, owning his mistakes. I learned the hard way, he told the press outside. Small-town papers love a redemption story. In the end, we expanded the ranch sustainably, blending my legacy with his ideas. Glamping pods? Sure. But on leased corners. Preserving core lands. The lesson? Revenge burns out. Understanding endures. Like the Bitterroot's eternal rivers. Life after the investor dust-up settled into a rhythm. The ranch humming with new energy tempered by old wisdom. Jake and I co-manage now. Our LLC amended to require dual signatures on big decisions. A legal safeguard straight from Montana's business statutes. It wasn't perfect. Family drama simmers like a slow-cooked stew. But we'd uncovered the mystery of our fractures, generational hurts, amplified by modern ambitions. Jake dove into learning the ropes, joining me on dawn patrols to check fences, his city hands blistering but determined. One crisp morning, as we rode horseback along the creek, water flowing thanks to my irrigation tweaks, he opened up more. I was jealous.
Eminência.
You had roots here. I felt like an outsider. I reined in my mare. Roots can strangle if you don't tend them. We both needed pruning. It was humane talk. The kind that heals without heroes or villains. But shadows lingered, whispers from town about Jake's past dealings. I investigated discreetly, using the county's online portal, a tool every Western landowner knows. Turns out, he'd co-signed a loan with the developer, collateralizing his ranch share without disclosure. Under state law, that's potential fraud, voiding the note if proven. I didn't explode. Instead, I arranged a mediated sit-down with Mr. Reynolds. Jake, this could tank us, I said calmly. He confessed, desperation from debts. We renegotiated the loan together, using ranch profits to pay it off gradually. No court battles, just resolution. The process taught a light lesson. Secrets erode like riverbanks. Openness fortifies. As winter blanketed the valley, we hosted community events, hayrides showcasing sustainable practices I'd pioneered. Locals praised the blend, Emily's smarts with Jake's spark. It felt close to American audiences' hard work, redemption, the Western dream. But the Trin Tam peaked when an anonymous tip led me to old family letters in Aunt Linda's trunk. They revealed Dad had forgiven her debt before dying. But pride kept it secret. Sharing this with Jake mended final rifts. "We're in this together," he said, eyes misty. We updated the business plan, crediting both legacies. Investors loved the authenticity, infusing more funds. The ending? Not dramatic downfall, but uplift. Jake mentored local youth on entrepreneurship.
He taught land stewardship.
A humane close, with the lesson that family bonds, like Montana soil, yield best when nurtured honestly. Reflecting on it all, I realized the real revenge was growth. No more erasures, just shared stories under endless skies. Actually, diving deeper, post-resolution, the ranch flourished, but a new twist emerged. Spring brought floods, testing my old contingency plans. Jake, now humbled, deferred, your designs saved us again. We navigated insurance claims together. Under FEMA guidelines adapted for rural Montana, clear legal paths I'd mapped years ago. It bonded us, turning drama into partnership. Socially, we hosted a family reunion, inviting distant relatives. Amid barbecues and bonfires, old tales surfaced, Aunt Linda's regrets, Dad's quiet strength. Jake shared his failures openly, inspiring cousins. "Failure's just fertilizer," he quipped, echoing Western idioms. I felt pride, not vindictive,
But warm.
legally. We formalized everything, updated wills, trusts under Montana's Uniform Trust Code, ensuring no future grabs. Mr. Reynolds beamed, model co-ownership. The mystery of our past resolved, paving humane futures. By summer, the eco tours launched, blending my sustainability with Jake's marketing. Reviews raved, authentic West experience. The lesson lingered lightly, betrayal stings. But forgiveness builds empires. In the end, the ranch stood stronger, a testament to resilience over retribution. As the seasons cycled, the Double Bar became a beacon in Bitterroot Valley, a harmonious blend of tradition and innovation. Jake and I shared duties seamlessly. I oversaw land ops. He handled outreach. But family drama never fully fades. A final test came via a competing offer from a big AG corp, tempting Jake with quick cash.
Inc.
"It's life-changing," he urged. I reviewed the contract. It undervalued our easements, risking environmental violations under Federal Clean Water Act standards, enforceable locally. We debated heatedly, but I proposed compromise, counter with terms honoring my contributions. He agreed. The mystery of trust unfolding anew. Negotiations in Billings' boardroom echoed our past, me presenting evidence, Jake adding flair. The corp adjusted, respecting our setup. We declined ultimately, opting for independence. "Better together," Jake said post-meeting. Humanely, we invested profits in community, scholarships for AG students, like I once was. Jake volunteered at startups, mentoring failures into comebacks. The lesson? Shocking erasures lead to unexpected unity, teaching that true legacy is collaborative, not conquered. Years on, under Montana sunsets, I reflect, the West's vastness mirrors life's complexities.
No villains.
Just humans navigating storms. Our story, once revenge-tinged, ended in redemption alight.
Enduring moral.
To flesh it out, daily life post-drama was fulfilling. Calving season saw us, side by side. Jake learning my techniques. Your way's efficient, he admitted. Socially, we bridged gaps, joint interviews for local podcasts, sharing our journey. From feud to family, headlines read, resonating with American tales of grit. Legally, we audited annually, ensuring clarity. No more shadows. The humane shift, Jake's wedding on the ranch. Me as best woman, symbolizing bonds mended. In closing, the shocking betrayal birthed unexpected healing, proving forgiveness outlasts fury. That's the Western way. Endure, evolve, embrace.